GAS, Gear Acquisition Syndrome. This is it right here. One day I just looked at all my camera gear and I thought, what am I doing with all this stuff? There is so much camera gear here. Here's my camera gear list for the last 10 years. Olympus Pen F, Olympus EM1 Mark II, Olympus EM5 Mark II, Olympus EM1X, Olympus OM1, Olympus OM1 Mark II, Panasonic GH4, Panasonic GH5, Panasonic GX9, Panasonic G9, Panasonic GH6, Panasonic G9 II, Fuji X-T2, Fuji X Pro 2, Fuji X-T4, Fuji X-T30, Fuji X100T, Fuji X100V, Fuji GFX50R. And that is just, in the last 10 years, I've probably forgotten some as well. Here's my camera list from when I was a working photographer, actually going out and taking pictures every day. So this is in a period of 5 years. Canon 450D, and then I just about in that time saved up enough money to go full frame and buy a 5D Mark II, a Canon 5D Mark II. I worked with those two cameras for the whole time that I was a working photographer, a professional photographer. That was my full income from that. And those two cameras made me more money than any of these have. And so what the heck are we doing? And I was thinking about this the other day. And I've been thinking about what to do with this channel. And the last couple of videos I've done have been gear based. And I don't really want to go down that route. And there's several reasons for it. And I'm gonna explain those to you now. One is that it's just unsustainable. With a small following like mine, it's going to take a long time before any videos pay for themselves. So it comes out of my pocket. But the main reason is I asked myself a few questions this week, having done the gear type videos for the last two videos. And in all honesty, I was just not feeling motivated to churn out another gear video. But I was thinking to myself, what does photography mean to me? And what do I want to do with my photography? And in 20 years' time, if I could put myself in my ideal situation, where would I be? And so I answered those questions, and I think they're really good questions to ask yourself when you get trapped in this treadmill of YouTube influencers, Instagram influencers, and the marketing that the companies put out. And I thought to myself, which photographers inspire me, and what do I want to do with my work, and what can I take from their work? So I've been looking this week at Ernst Haas's work, at Don McCullin's work, and a little bit at Sal Leiter's work. And the theme that sort of ran through, apart from the technical aspects of it, was they're telling a story. So for me, photography, it can be art for art's sake, but I feel that for me personally, that's not enough to justify my time going out and just creating art. For me, photography's purpose is to tell a story or to illustrate a story. And hopefully a story of meaning or depth or consequence. It makes a difference to someone's life, or it brings attention to a subject. I want to try, at least in my own small way, to serve a purpose with photography. And collecting camera gear is not the way to do it. So recently you'll see I've been shooting with Fuji a lot. And what I've been doing is I've been testing out what kit works for me, what do I feel comfortable with. And as I'm getting older, I want to simplify. I don't want to be lugging around look at this bloody great Mindshift 36 litre backpack. When I flew back from the Philippines a month ago, I carried that, and I also had a Low Pro 400 flip side bag. Again, stuffed, absolutely crammed with camera gear. The stuff that you see here is thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds worth of money. Basically, I'm culling all my camera gear. And I think the reason being is I just see in the world at the moment, I see this consumerism, absolute consumerism, whether it comes to buying stuff like this, or it's consuming content, you know, flicking through the next picture, the next best picture, Instagram, TikTok, these sorts of things. And maybe it's because I'm getting older. I was 43 the other day. But for me, I want to sort of pull myself back from that. Therefore, I'm changing up my channel to a degree. And yeah, maybe I'll talk about the smaller amounts of gear that I am using if it's integral to a project, but I don't want to be part of that marketing machine. You know, the only way to go with a channel, if you're going to actually make a success of it in that photography review world, is that you eventually become part of the marketing machine. You have the manufacturer send you the cameras, you do the review, you all release it on the same day. Have you seen that on YouTube now, where, like, you know, new camera comes out and all the reviews come out at the same time, and it just floods you with rah, 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 buy this, buy this. If I look at all these cameras here, and probably all the cameras I've owned for the last 5 years, they're all good enough. I understand we all love gear. We all like getting that shiny new bit of kit. Ask yourself the question, does it make a difference to the photographs you take? And can you spend that money in a better place? I haven't even worked out how much this stuff is worth, but I know it's worth too much. And I know with that money I can pay for trips, experiences, I can treat my daughter to things, I can take her on trips with me, and I can put the money to better use elsewhere. I think in 10 years' time, will you look back and say, wow, I had a Olympus OM1, or will you look back and say, wow, I created that work there, and from it, those people showed their lives and actually they got support because of it and it changed their life in a very small way. So then I have to look at what is it that I want from the camera. And I talked about I want to slim everything down, like simplify. And I was reading an interesting book today from, can't remember his name, David something. He was the author on Strobist, which is a really good website if you want to learn flash photography. He was basically saying that all the top photographers that he learned from and the ones that he thought, wow, how are they getting these images? They all simplified their kit. They all had camera and 1 or 2 lenses that they knew how to use. And the other 80–90% of getting the photos you want is in the preparation, the planning, how you interact with people and your mind really. And the camera gear, as I say, I think all camera gear from the last 5 years is good enough. The difference in image quality between cameras of now and cameras of even 10 years ago is not that great. I used to print 20 by 30 inch gallery quality prints on a 5D Mark II, which had what, 21 megapixels? And now you're printing 20 by 30 prints regularly. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. But it's something to think about. And I don't want to tell anyone else what they should do, but this is what I'm doing now. I want to be about the photography and not the gear. And so with this channel going forward, I'm going to be doing project-based work and it's going to be about photography. Now that might be the odd tutorial. It might talk about the gear I'm using for a particular project, but it will be related back to the project. I think that's the way forward because this is not sustainable. I don't earn enough money to sustain this. I don't want to earn enough money to sustain this, to be quite honest with you. I want to do something more meaningful. And for those of you who don't know, that I used to run a pretty successful online camera store. And I actually prided myself on the fact that I would never upsell anyone on anything. In fact, I would downsell them most of the time. I would find out what they wanted from their camera, what they needed from the camera, what their output was, what the camera they have, their existing camera, didn't do for them that they thought the new one would. And most of the time, by the time we'd worked through a little conversation like that, I found that they were going for a spec of camera that was more than they needed, and I would downsell them by a 1 or 2. And it produced loyal customers. But it was just my genuine advice, and so I'm going to take my own advice that I gave out for years, and that is, what do I actually need? I'm going to downgrade my kit, and it's not a downgrade actually, it's an upgrade. Mentally it's an upgrade, it's going to be freeing. So I've been shooting for the last couple of weeks to a month with just the more simplified Fuji gear with prime lenses on it. So I'm going to shift all this out on this side and they'll be going on mpb.com. For me, I want this channel to be about photography. When I look at the guys who've inspired me and I look at where I want to be in 20 years time, I want to have created a body of work that either gives me satisfaction or it's done something for someone else. And I think my unique position being both British but living in the Philippines with Philippine connections, I think that it gives me a really nice, unique advantage that I can go in depth in the Philippines, I can look at issues there, and I can create bodies of work that perhaps highlight the issues. And eventually, I mean, if I'm talking about my dream, I'd like to be able to create work that highlights the issues, makes a difference, potentially even raises money that then can be helped to, alleviate the social issues or the poverty or whatever it is that is the issue that I'm dealing with. So that would be my ideal. And having however many £1,000 worth of camera gear is not really going to get me there, is it? It's other things. If you are interested in the projects that I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be traveling all over the Philippines. So I have one project lined up, which will be telling the story of the fishermen out there. And I already have contacts and I have that project lined up for when I return in January. And those are the kind of things that I'm going to be doing. So I'll bring you videos of the projects as they progress. I'll bring you videos of how I'm coming up with the ideas for the projects, how I'm researching them, how I go about putting together a project, and how I then go about actually enacting it and fulfilling it and carrying it out. I think that'll be quite interesting. And then the projects eventually will become zines. They'll become blog posts and articles on my website, davidjfleet.com. Head over to that website. It'd be great if you signed up to the newsletter because that is where I'd like my focus to be. But I shall be updating once a week on this channel, and it will be Sundays that I'll be posting. I hope you stick around for it. I think it's going to be interesting, and it's going to be about the photography and the stories rather than about the camera gear. I know it's going to be much harder to grow a channel on YouTube doing stuff like this. Gear reviews get more views, but I don't want to go down that path, and I hope you can appreciate why I don't want to go down that path. So yeah, that's my thoughts, and that's my video this week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.